Hey everyone, and welcome to how to create interactable tectonic plates in augmented reality. In this lesson, we're going to be creating our plates ready to be animated and scripted in later lessons. So to begin, let's first of all set up our EasyAR SDK inside of our Unity scene. To do that, go down to the EasyAR folder, go Prefabs, and then drag in the EasyAR startup prefab into your scene. Once that's done, go over to the side where we have our EasyAR behavior, and you just want to paste in your SDK key that you created on the EasyAR website. Now, once that's done, we can just delete our main camera over here, as it's no longer needed, as EasyAR actually comes with a camera already set up here. Now that we have that done, we're ready to actually start making our plate. So to do that, we can go back to our EasyAR folder, go Prefabs, Primitives, and drag in the image target. Now, what an image target is basically a image that the app can actually identify through the camera and render whatever you want on it. In our case, we're going to be rendering a 3D model of two tectonic plates and their following animations. The image marker looks like this. So it's a very specific image, looks a bit like a QR code. And the point of having all of this sort of detail and all this contrasting colors is so that the app can easily identify it. It's got to be an image that is very specific and with a lot of points. See, there's a lot of like right edges, sharp points, a lot of contrasting colors. In our case, two very contrasting colors, white and black. And doing that will create an image target that is very identifiable by the app. Okay, now that we have our image target here, let's actually rename it to image target underscore tectonic plates. And down here in our path, we need to enter in the path of our image target. Now, with EasyAR, it's pretty easy to set up image targets. You only need to create a folder called streaming assets down here, and you place in your image targets as a JPEG image. So it's easy as that. EasyAR is able to identify this folder when the game starts and load up these images. So going back to our image target, we can enter in the path for that image, and that image is called tectonic plates marker.jpg. So we can just enter in that here. Nope. And then down in the name, we just need to enter in the name of the file. We don't have to include the file extension, so that will just be tectonic plates marker. And for the size, we're just going to enter in 5x5. And what this is, it's basically a reference to the marker in real world, basically. So whatever models or images or particle effects or whatever you put on top of this, however large it is in reference to the size of this pink square is how large they'll be in reference to the actual image target. So if you print out a really small one and let's say the model is twice the size of this pink square, and you print off a 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter little image target, then the model will be 2 centimeters wide. Whereas if you print off a, let's just say 10 by 10 one, then the model will be 20 by 20. So it scales up. It's not necessary that you make this pink square specific size, but if you do want to use the Unity units for whatever reason, then you might want to do that. But in our case, 5x5 is fine because we're only using 2 models, and most of the stuff is done in script anyway. Now it's time to actually start importing our models on top. So to do that, we're going to right click on the image target. Let's actually drag this out a bit. Right click on an image target and go create empty. We're going to create an empty game object just to store our models, make it a lot more easier, act like a little container, and also the fact that the scale is 1:1, whereas on the image target it's actually 5. So just for scale purposes and ease of use, we're going to do this. And let's just call this tectonic plates. Now, with that done, we also need to create 2 more empty game objects, one for the left plate and one for the right plate. So let's do that now. Let's create one here, call this left plate. We can also duplicate with Control D, so we can just do it like that instead of having to make a new one, and we'll call that right plate, like so. Okay, now it's time for the model. To do that, let's go back to Assets folder, let's go Models, and we want to drag in the tectonic plate model right here. So just simply click and drag it in on top of the left plate, like so. It's pretty large at the moment. If we zoom out, we can use WASD and hold right click to look around and move. And as you can see, it is pretty large at the moment. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to resize it. So down here in the scale, let's make this 0.5 by 0.5 by 0.5. See how large that is compared to it's pretty large compared to the pink square, so let's actually scale down a bit more. Let's go 0.2 by 0.2 by 0.2. And yeah, that looks about right. So what we can also do now is we need to rotate this. So this side here is facing here. So with that we can alter the Y. Let's make this 90 on the Y like so. And we want to drag it back so it's about in the center like so. So that's about 1. Well, not really 1. Let's turn off the lighting up here actually. Up here there's a little icon in the scene view. And we can just disable that. And what that does, that basically turns off the lighting in the scene view, because with the directional light, some sides can be quite dark, whereas if we do go back to game view, you can see the lighting is still on. We'll talk about the scene view. We'll talk about the game view later and how to work on it in the editor. Going back to the scene view now, we can now duplicate this tectonic plate with Control D and drag it into the right plate there. Let's then set the X to -1 since it's on this side now, and set the Y to -90 so we can flip it like so. And there we go. We got our 2 plates set up, ready to be modeled. Ready to be animated. So yeah, if we go back into our game view, we can see our plates here. Now, something we can do, I personally find it that the plates are a bit too wide on the side, so we can actually, lower that Z scale. Let's make that 1.8 over here, 0.18. Then we can make them a bit closer by making it 0.9. Oh, -0.9. Let's also rename these. We'll call this right plate model, our right plate model here, and our left plate model, we'll call that left plate model, like so. And there we go. We have our plate set up, ready to be animated in the next lesson. So yeah, see you then.